Hi, this is Kevin with Advanced Leather Solutions. What I want to talk about is the process of a client using one of our kits to restore their own leather furniture. This is a system that has been designed from the ground up to allow a consumer to be able to restore their faded, stained leather furniture, or perhaps even do a color change on their furniture. We've actually sold thousands of these kits over the years, and from time to time I get a question about, well, what is the contents of a kit? What's actually in a kit? And so I want to spend some time today talking about that. Keep in mind that this whole kit concept is a derivative of the fact that we have been working as leather restoration professionals for 25 years. And so what we've done is synthesize the process that we've been doing professionally for all these years into a system that we could put into the hands of a consumer that has never done this before. How are we able to do that? Well, we do it with really quality instructions. And so to spend a minute first about those, what we have is a set of instructions that is written based, but we also have a DVD that comes with the kit. So the very second page of the instructions is an overview of the process. If you understand the overview of the process, you can do step by step to end up with taking your furniture that is looking a little ratty around the edges, where the integrity of the leather is still good, and converting that into something that looks new again. So let's talk a little bit about the process. The very first thing that we want to do is to figure out whether or not there's body oil in the leather. If there is body oil in the leather, then an oil extraction chemistry is applied to those surface areas that will draw those offending body oils out of the leather. The second thing that we want to be aware of is that the leather may have dried out over time, and so we've included a moisturizing component that is intended to remoisturize. The third step in the process is priming the leather or preparing the leather to accept the color. For that purpose, we've created this primer. Now, the priming step is the most important step. The priming step is going to be applied in ways that are a function of where on the piece of furniture we're actually talking about. So, for example, on the tops of the seats and the tops of the arms, we think of that as an A area on the furniture, and we've included gray abrasive pads to scrub the primer into those areas. In the areas that are less used, like the backrest and the side panels, we've included a priming glove that you would use for applying the primer. In both cases, we've included latex gloves for your hands. Now, this is a water-based chemistry, but nonetheless, this keeps your hands from getting wet during the entire process. So these three products combined make up the first phase of the project, which is a priming phase. Once all leather surfaces have been prepped for accepting the color, then the next step is the color application. The color application can be either a single color or it can be a mottled or color variation effect. In this particular case, we are showing you two colors that would show both a base color for initial coverage application and then a print color or an overlay color that is darker that would then create that mottled coloring effect. The application tools for the base color, basically it consists of standard foam brushes like we see here, but we've also created a unique device. This is a foam block that has been contoured on the edges such that you can apply the color to the foam block, and then from there you can wipe it onto the surface of the leather, creating then a transfer of the color. Now, the whole strategy here is in that color application is to use a light hand. You do not want to have a heavy coating on the leather. Instead, you want to have multiple light coats to get you where you want to be. Once you have the base color on all leather surfaces with one uniform look, you can then apply the print color. The print color is what creates that mottled or color variation effect. The print color is applied using a tamping sponge. And so what you're doing with a printing technique is you are applying the color to the sponge and then tamping it on, creating color variation. Because of the way the sponge is created, there are high points and low points, and so by this process you end up with having some areas with more color on it than others, creating this color variation effect. Now, through the process, from time to time, you may actually have a need to sand the leather. If the leather has chafed in the first place, you may want to use the sanding pad to sand the leather, or in between coats to get a really fine result, you can use a sanding pad, which is a very low grit sanding pad, in order to make sure that there isn't any grittiness going on in the leather. Now, sort of as a tool to help you, we also include a sample piece of leather that you can practice any of these steps on leather itself. But we frankly also recommend that you can use cardboard for the purposes of applying the color, so you can see how the color renders on something off of your leather before you actually apply it to the leather. Once the color step is completed, and now you have the color where you want it to be, everything has to cure for 3 days. So you let the whole system rest for 3 days, and at the end of that 3-day process, you apply a polishing paper, which is a wipe down method in order to knock down any grittiness that may have been dust that may have fallen onto the leather when it was in a wet form, or something that is going to create a better tactile presence of the leather. And then finally, a wipe down of final dressing. The final dressing is a feel modifier that gives the leather a nice, soft, silky feel. So these are the components of a kit. When you put the system to play on a piece of furniture, you're migrating it from a state of where it may look like it's in disrepair to a state where it gives you the impression of actually being new. If you have any questions about any of these components or this whole entire process, give me a call. I'm Kevin with Advanced Leather Solutions at 510-786-6059, or send me an email, kevin@advleather.com. And if you like what you see, give us a plus or a thumbs up. Thanks.